Welcome to Let's Talk Church and Other Things. I am your host, Charla.
And I'm Corey.
And today our special guest is my number two son, Joshua, a.k.a. Nyce Hitz. What's going on?
Nothing much. How are you all?
We're good.
We're doing good. So, we're here to talk to you about what's been going on with you for the past 4 or 5 months. But before we get into that, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
I'm a DJ, producer, artist, all of the above, right from here, Providence. It's as simple as that.
So how did you get into DJing, producing, writing, artist?
All of it comes from the third floor when we used to live on Oxford. Everybody is more than just me and Pooh that came out of there at the end of the day. But my older brother, Franchise, he was up there DJing. So when he was learning how to DJ, I was learning how to DJ too, watching him, sneaking to use his stuff and all of that. Then I had my own stuff, but then I branched off into writing raps and eventually getting into like making beats. When they started using Fruity Loops and all of that. We was doing it all right there. We was doing it all right there on the third floor. That's where it all
The lab
started at. That was like when you seen like Big Tigger's The Basement. Like that's what the third floor was.
Yeah.
I got a quick question. Did you name yourself? Or did someone name you that?
No, I've always been Nyce since the 4th grade.
Okay.
Stands for Not Your Common Enemy.
Okay.
So.
And that was your first DJ name, Nyce? That was.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Never put a DJ in front of it. I never put a DJ in front of it. It was Nyce, and then I only added Hitz to the end of it for like Google purposes. Like if someone wants to look you up or if they want to find you online, I'm pretty sure that there's a million people that call themselves Nyce.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, if I call myself Nyce Hitz, I'm gonna be the first one that comes up all the time.
Okay.
And what made you do HITZ?
Just to be different. The Nyce was already different, so why not make the hits different?
Wow. So you mentioned you started DJing by watching your brother on the third floor, and I can confirm that. I remember when your brother was doing his first parties, the ones that you could go to.
Even the ones I couldn't go to.
Well,
I was there.
you were a little older going to the ones you couldn't go to, or you should not have went to. But anyway, so you would be, by his side watching him DJ. I remember your grandparents. One Christmas they bought you DJ in the box.
Yep.
So you had your own equipment.
Set up direct. It was like directly across from Franchise's equipment. So.
Yep, up on the third floor. And
You guys battling up there?
Nah, he didn't want to battle me. But yeah, like me and my friends would be up there, so it would be like me, Eli, and anybody who was like at some point, everybody that was living in that neighborhood came upstairs at some point to see what was going on. Because if the windows was open, you could hear the music. So people wanted to know what was up there, and like Mark P would be over there breakdancing. So we would all just be up there hanging out, making music. We had the little 4-track, the tape thing in there,
Yep.
With the 4-track, you can only use one side. We started recording raps and doing little mixtapes and stuff. I would get on the school bus and bring a new mixtape every day.
Yep, that's how you got yourself out there. But somewhere in between there, you started a group called Legacy. Tell us a little bit about them.
Yep, that's from the third floor too. Basically, we all went to school. We all went to school together, and we probably had to record. We had to record our first raps with you. Yeah, so our first raps, Franchise was recording them, and back then it was so much harder to record a song. The fact that we had songs on tape or whatever, tape, CD, whatever, like that automatically like set us apart. Like, and we put that together just from started as me and Eli at first, and then Gabe joined the group, and we did that for a little while. And shout out to Marlando, who ended up having like a real studio in his basement. And we were still ahead of our time, because back then it was way harder to get studio time and stuff like that. So we had options. We could go record over little mixtape beats or whatever with Franchise, and then we could go to Marlando's house and he was making beats. And so we were actually like lucky to to have franchise in Omega down with us, like, because everybody didn't have access to all of that.
Right, and I can remember Marlando, aka Omega. I would take you guys over there, and I believe it was his father. Somebody made the booth where you all could go in there and record. And
the first one was in Lockwood. Remember in Lockwood, he had the studio over there. Did you go to the one in Lockwood?
I didn't.
He had a studio in Lockwood. You figure he had to be like maybe a sophomore in high school at the time. He had a studio over there, and then when they moved over to Washington Park, they made another one that was even better. Yeah, he was young with that. Now I think about that.
Yeah, he was, because he's older than you all, and
yeah,
you guys were.
Is he still in the music game?
No.
Wow. So you're growing up. You get into DJing. You get into writing. You get into recording. Where did the producing come in?
On the third floor, we had a computer up there.
Everything goes back to that third floor.
That third floor. We need to go back and get that third. We need to take over that
that
house.
whole house.
That's our house.
Because remember, at first it started off like franchise just had like the half a room over there. Then he took over the whole room over there.
Right.
But then he had the second room. Remember, John was living in the other one. But then the second room was just like the chill room, where we would just chill over there. Like supposed to be in school, we was over there. I was over there. But that computer had Fruity Loops on it, and everybody was over there taking turns just making beats. Like, and Chris Fame, who's one of my closest friends, he's the first person that I seen come over there and make a full blown like crazy beat on that computer. So I figured out how to use it after that, and that's where the producing part came in. And shout out to Walt as well, who used to help me out because he had the keyboards and stuff. So as we started to evolve, then we was doing it at our house. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
That's where that came in from.
Yep, I remember them days at our house. And
Now, was Nanny living downstairs on the second floor then?
Granny never came. Did Granny ever complain to you?
No, never. They moved that African family in.
Oh,
really?
I wasn't there.
I missed that one.
Really?
I wasn't there then. They complained. Yeah, I remember they built the room.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Granny never complained. Our great grandmother, because we're talking amongst each other, we all know each other here.
Yeah.
And we're all family today.
My great grandmother lived on the second floor, so that was in between. The bottom floor was me, my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather. Then we had my great grandmother on the second floor, and then it was franchise and my cousin John on the third.
Yeah.
But she never complained.
That's cool. I'm trying. Them kids play that music.
She did. We didn't have to worry about anybody trying to break in because she didn't miss anything. She was gonna know who was going in there, and that was the good thing back then. When you think about Omega, his studio like in the basement of their house. So at some point everybody's gone out of the house. Mm-hmm. Even where we lived. I mean, even though my grandmother was there most of the time, but you never had to worry about, friends coming over or whatever, and then worry about them. Okay, they're watching. They know everybody's gone. Let's go in there and take stuff. We never had that. Never had that problem. Even when, we started branching off and franchise went to college, and now it's just me and Nyce, and, we move. We still, DJ Knockout, he would come to the house like he lived there. He knew where the cabinet was with the snacks, everything. So, they always, it didn't stop at the third floor. Yeah. It continued. So now we move past the third floor. We're in Warwick.
Warwick. That was, even over there, the music that we was making over there at that time was good. And you figured then franchise lived upstairs from us over there. So I wrote it again. If we needed to do certain kind of stuff, we could go upstairs to his house, or even when he lived in the next building, and then I would be making beats over there in my room at that point. I had the keyboard. Walt had went overseas for a while. He let me keep the keyboard, but even when he was there, like the keyboard was there, and we'd have like Knockout over there, Walt, Antonio McClendon. We had everybody came in there. Yeah. Everybody came to that room.
Some real good singers came through because Antonio was a really, really good singer. So before we get into what you're doing now, we have to back up a little to the days of MySpace. So let's talk a little bit about when you originally met Sean Kingston.
And that goes back to does that really go back to 1320? Oh no, I guess it doesn't. 1320 The Drive does connect it at some point because I was working for a magazine that was owned by the same person that owned the AM station that we used to be on. So that plays a part later. But on MySpace, I had music on there or whatever, and I had got a hit up from this rapper. His name was Franchise the Kid, and he was a few years younger than me. He was like, "Oh, I love your music, man. Like, I want to connect with you one day. Like, I'm down here in Florida. Next year, by next year, I'm gonna start my own label." No, he said in 2 years, I'm gonna start my own label. I'm gonna be one of the biggest artists. We gotta get up. We gotta link up or whatever. Like, I like your music or whatever. And I was working for a magazine that was owned by 1320, and me and that magazine and another magazine out of Massachusetts, I was working for, and I was going down to Florida, to Miami, to go cover Spring Bling, and me and Craze went down there. I was only 17.
I was just gonna say, how old were you?
Yeah, I was only 17. I had already been down there one time before. Me and my father had went to go see Khaled at Circle House. Khaled started introducing me to everybody down there. So when I went back the second time, I was lined up with stuff to do. But the kid who's from MySpace, I'm like, yo, I'm down here, just show us how to get around. Like, so we picked him up, we let him roll, brought him to all the video shoots and stuff with us, around all the artists and stuff. And he was going through a tough time in his life at that time. I didn't know at the time, his mom was locked up at the time, and he was bouncing from place to place. But I mean, he called his career out like nobody that I've met before. From the first message he sent me, he said, in 2 years, I'm going to be one of the biggest artists. I'm going to have my own label. I want you to be down. And then he did it in a year. He ended up being Sean Kingston. He changed his name from Franchise the Kid. Now he's Sean Kingston. And that's how that connection happened. It was just a random MySpace message.
I got a quick question. What was you was going to said you was going to see Khaled in Florida?
DJ Khaled.
Yep.
What was you going to do with Khaled?
I did an interview with him one time for, I think it went in both magazines.
So I know I still have the article from Promo Mag.
It went in Promo Mag, it went in True Magazine, it went in, I forget, it was a one music section in, I don't know the name of that magazine. It was Scott's magazine, who owned 1320. So it was one article that went to 3 magazines, and Khaled noticed that I got it put in these 3 magazines. Especially, shout out to Craze. Craze set up the Promo Mag one. Promo Mag was owned by a guy who did all the promotions at the time for like Def Jam. So he was running around with Jay-Z and stuff all the time. So these magazines got around, and Khaled was like, yo, I see you got me in this magazine and this magazine. So whenever you come down here, you're good. So that's why, like, every time I went down to Miami when I was younger, I would always connect with Khaled and Kiko. They introduced me to everybody.
So let's back up a little, because I think his question was, how did you even get to the point where you were able to
link up with Khaled? Yeah,
to interview.
Oh, sent the
Khaled.
email. Sent the email. I knew about him from being from Terror Squad and him being on 99 Jams in Miami, because we always pay attention to what was going on everywhere. So I went in that first interview that he allowed me to do. When I sent the email, they were like, we're gonna come pick you up. They made it like real secretive, because I guess they were gonna bring me to his house at first. He had a studio at his house, and then they were like, you know what, we're not gonna pick you up. Just come meet us at Circle House. We go to Circle House, me and my father.
He's a minor, so he needs his father to be there with him.
I'll never forget, me and my father, we pull up to Circle House in like a drop top Mustang or something like that. And at first they're like, oh, Khaled ain't here. There's somebody sitting at the gate. Khaled ain't here. You gotta go. You gotta get off the street. 2 minutes later, I made a call. 2 minutes later, oh, we apologize. Pull right in. And Khaled greets us at the door. Me and my father, my father's a pastor.
yeah.
We walk in, they had like a area like with like a pool table and stuff. There was a bunch of girls in there like playing pool. There's a chef cooking. Khaled's just introducing me to that. Yo, this is Trick Daddy. Yo, Trick, this is Nyce. He's from up north. Cool and Dre, I'm gonna bring you over here. Scram Jones over here. He's introducing me to everybody like off rip. Me and my father, and I'll never forget sitting there. We sat down for like an hour and a half.
What year was this?
What year was that? I was 17. It's half my life ago.
So you were, yeah.
It had to be like 2006. I was out of high school.
Were you?
Yeah. Had to be like 2006.
So was Khaled just DJing back then, or was he just started producing?
So that interview meant a lot to him at that time because he was just finishing his first album.
Oh, okay.
So he was telling me about all the stuff he's doing for his album, playing us songs and stuff like that. Like, you know, I'm just about to drop my first album, so I was there. I was early on that, and he started blowing up after that.
And I remember it, so it was Sean and DJ Khaled. I remember you calling me in the room saying, "Mom, listen to this kid. This kid's gonna be big." And I don't know if the song was Colors or some song.
Oh yeah, Colors was the first one. Sean was a rapper. Sean got signed as a rapper first, and he was crazy. But once they recorded Beautiful Girls, that was it.
And then with DJ Khaled, at the time he was on radio, and you were like, "Yeah, this guy, Mom, watch. He's gonna be more than a radio DJ." It was like he knew. He has that air, I guess, to be able to tell, like, you know, yeah, they're doing this now, but wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to do the interview with DJ Khaled. He invited you back down to Florida. I believe you went to
We had a good relationship with him. How many times did Khaled call your show back in the day? Yeah, whenever I called Khaled for whatever, he picked up that phone, whatever. He premiered songs with us. The Beanie Siegel and Jadakiss song he premiered with us.
On an AM radio station in downtown Providence with a big glass window in the front, and people would be out there at night on a Sunday night, just out there, and they have a speaker
Arthur
outside.
Walking down the street. Hey, Arthur, what's going on?
They had a speaker outside, and people would be out there like just, and they're in the window just on the radio and doing their thing and getting people to call in.
In a station about half the size of this room.
It was small.
Oh, wow.
It was small.
Yeah.
Right. And also for that magazine, you did the article with Neo.
With Neo, I did one with Remy Ma. I had interviewed a few people around that time. But then with my relationships, back then my main relationships that I had in the industry was Khaled. Sean, all right, well, Sean wasn't really Sean yet, but Khaled, Neo. I had the Remy Ma connect, but then she ended up going to jail. And Rihanna. They were the closest ones that I was with.
Yeah.
Some big names.
Yeah. So Sean hangs out with you guys in Florida. I believe you went to a Rick Ross video shoot or something.
Yep, Sherry Riding High. We in that video somewhere. Me Crazy, and Sean Kingston. We're in that video somewhere.
Wow. So you do that. You come back home. Are you motivated to do something else, or?
I don't even. The timeline gets really, really shaky at that point. I don't know what I was doing at that time.
So,
I don't.
So, how old were you when you started DJing in the clubs?
14. Whenever he was there. Whenever he was there.
Well, when you was old enough to start getting paid for DJing in the club.
We were still under 21. So
you was 14. Was it an 18 plus club?
And you figure they're 6.5 years apart in age. So.
Yeah, there was, so he wasn't even 21 yet when he was doing his first 21 plus. But he brought me to a lot of them URI parties and stuff that I probably shouldn't have been in. But I was in there DJing. But when I started booking my own stuff, I think it would have to be after I came off a tour and Nako introduced me to the owners of Level 2 in Finnegan's. Other than that, I was doing little parties here and there, whatever, but nothing consistent until I met Guy and Louie.
Okay. So before we get into
Adam,
the first tour you did, so even when you were in high school, he always wanted to do stuff a little bit different than everybody else, and that group out of Massachusetts,
XL, they were Code 5 before, but then their name was XL. We did that show.
Yep,
Clinton Sparks came.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We didn't pay a penny for them. All I had to do was have, snacks and stuff. And because, he knew how to talk to people and he knew people, and those kids had been on back then 106 in Park.
Yeah.
That was, so everybody knew them from 106 in Park. Yeah, we had them right here in Rhode Island in the hood.
Southside Rec, Mr. Cedric and Clinton Sparks arguing. I'll never forget that. Them two face to face with each other. Clinton Sparks is like, "What do you expect us to do?" Mr. Cedric's like, "Sometimes you just got to be like, hey, man." I'm like, what, is this argument really happening right now?
So what had happened? One of the members of the group got upset with somebody.
Yeah.
And decided to jump off the stage, and a whole fight starts.
Oh boy.
Good times.
So Nyce was always, everybody calls him Nyce. I call him Josh, but everybody calls him Nyce. He was always doing something musically, whether he was DJing or rapping when they were Legacy, and he kind of like went off on his own for a little bit when Legacy kind of broke up. But they were young, but they had a CD out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had a CD out and everything, which I still have a copy of.
I do too.
So do you rather DJ or produce?
I like producing more because producing is like you literally start with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing there, but it's way more challenging than DJing. This is DJing. I can close my eyes and do that.
Yeah, do that in your sleep.
I ain't gonna hold you. And the more that I DJ, it's becoming even easier.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm just trying to figure out, ways to get better at that or whatever. But I enjoy producing more.
Do you think you're a better DJ or a better producer?
I'm a better producer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you kind of like taught yourself how to play the keys a little bit.
I had to when Walt went away because he used to play the keys on a lot of stuff. When he went away, I had to learn how to play. So, figured it out.
Mm-hmm. So now fast forward, you're a little older. Let's talk about how the first tour came about, even though you wasn't that old, but.
I was 19. So now Sean is Sean at this point. And first he fires a DJ. He always stayed in touch with me. Sean, we have a respect for each other. Like only me and him kind of understand it. So at that time, he called me. He was like, "Yo, I fired a DJ." So first I hired DJ Just, he's still Bow Wow's DJ. He was Bow Wow's DJ back then too. But some things didn't match up because Just was still underage too. So he would have had to travel with somebody else. We still would have had to make sure he's getting his schoolwork, all of that stuff. And we already had Sean that was underage too. So it was like, it just didn't work out. They did do a couple shows together, but Sean was like, "All right, who you got next?" And I had to call somebody. I had to call people that had already did it. Because a lot of people used to be like, "Well, why didn't you call franchise?" It was different. It was different from doing a club. I had to call somebody who was already on the road, used to being on the road or whatever, or else I would have said myself.
Right.
If it was that, you know what I mean? Like, so I called Kilo to hire him, and then when I hired Kilo, Sean was like, "Yo, they don't want you to come. They don't want you to come on the road talking about the people that didn't know me because they didn't want we was a bunch of kids. Now I look at it in hindsight, we were a bunch of kids. Like, he's like, they don't want you to come on the road, but you still fly for free, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, just meet me in Vegas. Just meet me in Vegas at this time or whatever. So I did. I pulled up to Vegas and we was on the tour with Gwen Stefani. Like, that was a big tour at the time too, because Gwen was Gwen. So.
Oh, did Sean open up for her?
Yep. Okay. And it was just them two. We was doing packed houses every night. Like, and Sean had 3 songs out at the time because that first album had like 5 singles off of it. So.
How you like the road? How you like being on tour, like being on the road, being away from home for long periods of time?
Well, let's talk about back then before we get to more up to date.
All right, so back then wasn't as long. Back then, I was going maybe 20 days. I still was working a regular job.
Okay.
I was working at MetLife with my mother.
And what did you do when you went out on tour with them at that? You just went as his friend?
Yep, but miscellaneous stuff. Like, let's put it this way. When I went, they didn't have a job for me. Shout out Steve LaBelle. We working on everything. Like, at first he didn't know how to look at me because he was like, all right, who's this kid coming in? Like, he started trusting me after a couple days. So, they're like, all right, well, some bag, carry some bags around, make sure this and that. And then I would look out for Kilo because I had got Kilo the job. And then by the time that tour ended, I had all the credit card information. I had all the, Steve left a day early, like left me in charge of stuff. Like, But I was just doing miscellaneous stuff. There's a clip of Entertainment Tonight where Ryan Seacrest is talking to somebody, and you just see me in the back carrying turntables. Like,
I think he's actually interviewing Gwen Stefani because it was like
it's at Gwen's show.
L.A.
Everybody was at that show.
It was an L.A. show, and you're walking with a do-rag on your head, a black T-shirt, and you're carrying, turntables.
Yeah, and Steve used to be like, "That's how I started out. I started out carrying turntables."
And you worked
with
your way
Master
up.
J.
So now you come back from that tour, and then what happens as far as with your relationship with Sean? Because that was years. That was a long time ago.
We still had a relationship. You gotta remember when I was out there, I didn't have a job, so I wasn't getting paid when I was out on that first tour. Mm-hmm. But I would still go to like shows here and there. He would still call me, like if he had a new artist or something like that, he'd call me like, "Yo, check this out," or whatever. So we still had a relationship, but we were growing more apart. But I was still, every once in a while, I was still popping out at shows, whatever. Whenever they're in the area, I didn't do as much traveling like on the road and stuff like that. But I always had that in because Kilo was still there. Mm-hmm. From me hiring Kilo kept that job for a long time until he didn't want it no more. Yeah, so but our relationship like kind of grew apart. As he got bigger, we were just at two different points. And then I came back, and now I'm DJing. Like, Nako introduces me to the people at Level 2, Finnegan, stuff like that. Now we're over there. We're DJing 3 nights a week, going crazy, running the Foxwoods every night. Different time in my life.
Yeah, you all were taking over downtown, though.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, because what was that other club across the street? And then after Level 2
he was over there.
Comma.
Was the Coliseum down there, too?
Coliseum's still there.
Is
still
it?
Standing.
It's still open?
Yes.
Wow.
I didn't realize that. So you're now DJing in the clubs, going to Foxwoods.
And going to church on Sunday.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Still giving God thanks for keeping you safe while you're in the club. But now you start getting into making your own music.
Oh, yeah, I was always recording. Making music, making beats, working with different artists. I never stopped working just because, my relationship with Sean wasn't, what it was. I still came back in. I did my thing. Like, I still was producing, working with all the artists around here. Like, I never really dove. I did the DJing stuff as far as like nightclubs, but I never dove into like the mixtapes and stuff like that. Like, I liked making my own music. I liked making music for other people. I liked writing, producing, and stuff like that.
So you put your first project out when?
November of that pandemic year. What was that?
2020.
That might have been 2021. Was it 20? I don't know.
I think 20.
Well, the pandemic was 20.
It jumped off in like
March of 20.
All right, so yeah, maybe it was that year. Yeah, it was. Was it that year?
Yeah, it was February because I was supposed to go on a cruise for my 50th birthday and it got canceled. It was February of 20.
Yeah,
February,
I know. March of 20.
Yeah.
I got sent home from work and that was it.
Yeah, it was February.
I put that project out 21.
So that was your first project, the one you put out in 21?
11/1/21. Yep.
I
mean, besides rapping on like franchises, mixtapes, and stuff back in the day, like, but that was my first like project produced by myself and all of that. I did that.
Yeah. So now, do you have any questions about the past before we get into the
present?
present?
No, I don't. Let's get to the present.
Let's get to the present. So now here we are, 2023. At what point did you start reconnecting with Sean?
Last summer. So his DJ that I had hired years ago is now like helps out with managing. So he's like a co-manager along with Sean's mom. They had another DJ who had been DJing for Sean for like 5 years or something like that. And Sean was on tour last year and they were coming to Boston. So I had contacted Kilo, and I'm like, like me and Sean, me and Sean had spoke like periodically like over the years, but we hadn't seen each other in years. And they're like, oh, Kilo's like, yo, just pull up to the show, whatever. So I go, I meet Titus. Titus is like, all right, let me talk to Sean, see, make sure you're good or whatever, like, cause none of these people around him now know me.
Yeah,
this is a whole new like crew of people, and then Titus is like, Sean, say you're good. We're gonna bring you in the building or whatever. So I go up, and we connect. There's a video actually on my Instagram of last year when we see each other, and he's like, yo, this is my day one. He was there, when I was just trying to play my demo places. I used to just ride in the car with him. Like, it used to be me, Sean Kingston, and Craze, John Clark, riding around Miami, and he would just be rapping, man. I bring him everywhere with me. So we connected last year, and I remember leaving. I was on FaceTime with his mom. I said hi to his mom. I hadn't seen his mom in a long time. And I left, and I was on the phone with someone, and I was like, I feel like I'm probably going to be working in that circle again. Mm-hmm. I said that day when I left there. And then it happened.
So that was last year, October, November?
August.
Oh, is that far?
Yeah.
And so when did they contact you? So let me just ask this. At this point, does he realize that you're a DJ?
No.
Okay. So he doesn't know you're a DJ.
Nope.
So how did you end up in the position you're in now?
So Kilo calls me and says,
are we talking this year or still last year?
This is this year.
2023.
Kilo calls me one day and says, Sean needs a DJ, whatever. Like, I don't know, something had happened. It's like, he was like, and Kilo runs a whole team of DJs called Team Titan DJs. Shout out Team Titan DJs. And there's a bunch of us. And he's tried, different guys, DJing for Sean or whatever. He's like, never, nothing that ever stuck or whatever. And Kilo was like, yo, why don't I thought to myself, like, why don't I try to give the guy the job who gave me the job years ago? I was like, yeah, I'm down. I'm one of the people. It takes a lot for me to leave my house for something regular.
Yeah.
Like, so this wasn't even something I was trying to do. Like, so he's like, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to see if we can get you to do a trial run of like 2 shows, since we got 2 shows in the area. He says he talks to Sean. Sean's like, Nyce is my boy, but Nyce ain't no DJ. I'm like, all right, there's certain stuff that triggers me. That's something that like triggers me. Like, oh, I'm not a DJ. All right. So,
but you guys haven't spoken in a while, so he didn't know.
Well, they saw each other last year in August,
and that was it.
But he still doesn't know that he's a DJ.
Yeah. So now we're fast forwarding from that August. We spoke that day. The next time I seen him is when he was walking on the stage for the show that I ended up DJing for him, the first show. We didn't speak earlier in the day. I had a little idea of the few songs that we were gonna do. All I know is I'm sitting in front of a few thousand people. I'm like, this is my first time really doing this. I'm on the phone. I talked to Chip Doug earlier. I'm like, yo, bro, this is crazy. Like, hopefully I do my thing or whatever. But we went up there, we connected. He let me do the 2-show trial run. By the end of the first show, he's like, oh, nah, you my DJ. He said, you got your passport? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right. And then, as I met his family and stuff, we had to go to New York the next day. Mm-hmm. His family was out there, and as I met them, or whatever.
Is that where he's from, New York?
He stayed in New York for a while. He's from Jamaica.
Okay.
He lived in Jamaica, Florida, and in New York. But by me meeting like his family and friends, I could tell he was impressed. Like, he had been telling them like, oh, this guy's he's probably gonna be my main DJ. Like, he did his thing or whatever. So we did them shows, and we just been going ever since. Ever since. I had to quit my job, all of that. Best day of my life.
I'm jealous.
So how you like being on the road?
It depends. I like it. If I'm gonna be stressed out by anything, I like that it is in this field.
Yeah. So how long was you on the road? How long was you going?
The tour run, I was going for 45 days. I got to stay home for 1 day. We did a show in Boston, and I made sure that I got permission to stay home, and I'll meet them in New York the next day. I came home for 1 day.
So 45 days. So at what day was it when you was like, man, I'm burnt?
41.
41?
Because I was only supposed to be going for about 41 days. And
so you had that number in your head.
Oh yeah. we was at the rap party, like, we had like a little get together, we were all eating and stuff, this is the day, I posted the pictures and stuff and everything from tour. All of that was taken on 1 day. I didn't take any pictures with anybody that whole tour. I just cherish my relationships. Like me sitting down talking to Shaggy, listening to him talk crazy for an hour every day at lunch. Like I ate lunch every day with him, and like, getting to see Chili every day, and because I didn't see T-Boz as much, but getting to see Chili every day, speaking to her, see T-Boz's son a lot. That's how I really got to meet T-Boz, is because her son was out there bossing us around. And when we got to this final day, I was excited. I was like, yeah, I didn't get my flight information yet. And Titus, the road manager, he's like, yeah, about that. We got a few more shows.
Oh man, this is that day
without
41?
the bus. Yeah, and this is without the bus. We're losing the bus the next day.
Oh boy.
So now we're going back to we didn't even go back to airplanes. We got back in SUVs. I was like, oh man, that was a tough few days.
Oh wow.
I remember the day before I left, we were pulled over, and I was a little frustrated. And I remember Sean turned to the road manager. He said, "Is there any way that we can get Nyce a hotel and he could just stay here, like, and we could go do what we got to do?" Because I think they knew I was kind of
you had enough.
Yeah, I was ready to come home.
Day 41, you was itching. You was like,
I just wanted to come home at that point. Not even for long. Just let me come home for a few days. We get right back to it. I knew what our calendar looked like. I know we ain't stopping anytime soon. Still going out every weekend.
Wow. So what was, I want to know the good and bad of tour life.
The good of it is, of course, the shows. And not having to go to the airport every day. The relationships that you build with people, the things you learn. I stood on the side of that stage. I learned something from everybody on that tour. Whether it was in Vogue's road manager, I went out to sound check with him every day so I could figure out, first of all, to any DJs listening, if you want to DJ at a certain level, you have to do more than just know how to DJ. Them days of just knowing how to DJ is over. The way that they're running these shows are crazy, so I'm trying to like learn these different ways. Everybody's running their shows these different ways or whatever, so I'm out there with Vogue's road manager, seeing how he runs his shows. I'm out there with TLC's DJ. He's putting me on different stuff. So all of that is like the good part of it. The bad part of it, the days off. I didn't like days off. Being stuck in just some random city somewhere. It wasn't always a major city. It'd be like out somewhere like, what in the world is over here? Like, yeah. That was pretty much the bad part. The days off and sometimes not having your own space. If you gotta be on the bus for so many hours.
How many people on the bus?
Our bus, we had about 6 or 7.
Wow.
And then there were times where
The age range like from 19 to 45.
Oh wow.
But except for the bus driver, how
The
old
bus
was
driver,
he?
he was younger than we thought. Remember I found out.
Oh
He
yeah,
was
that's right.
So who was on the
Just
tour?
look older. The tour was Sean Kingston, In Vogue, Shaggy, and TLC.
Okay.
Yep, there was a big picture that I posted at the end of the tour of everybody on the tour. Took a picture. There's only like a couple people that's not in it, and I went through the picture. I'm like, I really spoke to all of these people every single day. Like you become like a family. Being out that long,
Yeah.
you become like a family, like for real. If I wasn't on the bus with like Sean, because Sean liked to chill on the bus, the dressing room was like me and Titus. Shout out Titus. Me and Titus had the dressing room to ourselves, basically. And then if I wasn't there, I'd be in Shaggy's room. Because his crew, they were my people.
So what advice would you give to someone who thinks they want to be a tour DJ?
Just go leave home for 3 weeks and be uncomfortable and see how that feels. Walk out your house and know that you're not gonna come home for a month, and you're gonna sleep somewhere different every day, and see how that's gonna feel first. Because I don't think everybody can just handle that part of it. And then
Just fast food every night.
No.
we had some
they
good food. We had some catering.
Oh really?
Yeah, that catering was good.
Okay.
We was eating some good stuff. It got a little rocky at certain points. Certain cities, I don't know what they were doing in the kitchen, but down
So
south, they hooked
you
us
got a
up.
catering company? I'm really confused.
So on tour, we get to a building around, let's say, 10 a.m. None of us are usually awake at 10 a.m.
And he means the venue, wherever they're going
Yep.
to perform.
Like 10 a.m. We don't leave that building until probably 3 a.m. So we're there. So they cook breakfast for us.
Okay.
You go in, whatever, and then at 12 o'clock, they do lunch every day from 12 to 3, and then at 5 o'clock, they do dinner. So yeah, catering was there.
Okay, I was thinking like the road trips from one city to the next city. You're probably stopping at a.
Oh yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
We did a lot of that too. That's
Yeah,
how I found
9
out what
days
Ghost
off.
Kitchen was. Ghost Kitchens. We got one over here.
What's that?
It's like a building that will just have like a bunch of like different like kitchens and stuff set up, and people will go in there and rent them areas, and they got probably the best food in the Ghost Kitchens.
Oh wow!
Chick-fil-A has a Ghost Kitchen in
Oh,
Providence.
on Bath Street.
Yes.
Yes.
Now there's a few restaurants in there.
Yes.
There's a chef from Boston that just opened up a spot in that building at 65 Bath. His food looks crazy. I gotta go over there.
And I didn't know that's what they called it.
Oh yeah,
I
we
never
were pulling
heard
up
of
at
it.
Ghost Kitchens everywhere in the hoods. We in the hood pulling up at Ghost Kitchens,
It's
pulling
like-
the whole bus
like
up.
4 different restaurants, 5, 6 different restaurants.
Go
in
over there,
yeah.
get some crab legs, sticky chicken. Like it'd be crazy.
Well, they've had Josh eating like oxtail pizza and
Oh yeah, that's in New York. As soon as we touch down in
something.
New
I
York.
think that was it jerk style or I don't know what it was, but he made.
Oh my God, jerk lamb chops,
That's what it was.
Chicago. That's 2.
So are you going back out on tour?
Not a full run like that, but we'll still be going out like this weekend. I'll be in I don't know when this comes out, but this weekend I'll be in Iowa, and then Tennessee, and then next weekend I'll be in Ohio and Jamaica, and then the week after that we're doing Atlantic City and Philadelphia, and then we get a couple weeks off, and then we'll be in Orlando. Then we got to go back to LA, and then we go to Canada with Nelly for a few days. Then we do Brazil for like 10 days. So I can see the kind of like we got a lot going on.
I'm gonna have to learn how to carry some DJ equipment.
That's where it all starts. Carry some DJ equipment. So your advice for someone who thinks that they would want to be a tour DJ is to leave home for a few weeks. But would you suggest that they leave home, go somewhere, be uncomfortable, but have
Just make sure you want to do it. 'Cause sometimes you're just gonna be. We get some places and we'll have these 5-star hotels, the most beautiful hotels you ever see in your life. We'll get in the hotel. They say everybody gotta be downstairs in 30 minutes. Then when we go downstairs in 30 minutes, we go to the show. We come back. Everybody gotta be back downstairs in 30 minutes so we can go back to the airport. So get used to sleeping in a car. Get used to sleeping in on an airplane.
on the
like,
run.
Sleeping in the airport. Like there's definitely pros and cons to it. Like you got to figure out if you're built for that first before the talent even comes into play.
And do you think that you have to be a people person? Because when you're on a tour, you're on a tour bus, and you're on a tour bus for 10 to 12 hours, and you got 7, 8 personalities, and now we've been on the road for 3 weeks, and it's like, okay.
You don't have to be a people person, but it will help you. It will help you. Like you gotta learn to get along with everybody. I chill with a 19-year-old every day.
I called him your son.
I chill with a 19-year-old every day.
Wow. Well, interesting. So now we know about tour life. We know what DJs should know, I guess, if you're considering being a tour DJ. I really wanted to talk to you because I think it was important for people to hear your story and to know like how this came about. And the thing is, I always have to refer to some scripture. And, the one that, like I told you, it says your gift will make room for you. And I tell him he's the prime example of that because he didn't go seeking out the position. It came to him. And it was because, like he said, he put DJ Kilo on. So Kilo was Sean's DJ for years. Now Kilo moves up to management. And now Sean's in need of a DJ. Out of all them DJs under Team Titans, which he's a part of, they could have still tried to pick some more.
And that's why you don't burn bridges either. When me and Sean wasn't speaking, like, not that we had a problem, but I could have been saying whatever, you know what I mean? I could have been salty, like, oh, look at two of my friends are out there doing their thing. If I started talking crazy about them or whatever, like, I could have burnt that bridge.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be where
I mean?
you're sitting right now.
Exactly.
Right. Enjoying life like you should be.
Yeah, but because you're not a salty person, you know what I mean? That's not how you are.
And since we're on Let's Talk Church and other things, you get out there on the road, you better know how to pray. It gets real.
Well, you better know somebody who knows how to pray.
There's stuff that I'll never talk about, but it happens. It goes down.
You know, and I was concerned about, you know, you're on a bus and, you know, that's when you hear all the stories. You know, it's almost like when you get ready to take a flight, you're going to hear about something happening with a plane. So, you know, they're out here on a tour bus day after day after day. And, you know, you hear about drivers falling asleep.
Sometimes our tour bus drivers driving like a maniac, thinking everybody's asleep. And when you laying in a bunk that little, there's so many days, I just like had to just brace myself in the bunk. Like I'm holding the top of the bunk and the side. And I'm like, all right, I'm just waiting for us to flip over or whatever we're gonna hit. Like,
now, is that a comfortable sleep on the bus? How was
you
that?
you gotta be ready to go to sleep when you get there. You have to be ready to go to sleep.
Wow.
Some people can hang out in there. Shout out Fati. Fati can hang out in his bunk all day. He recorded songs in his bunk and everything, laying down.
But Fati's shorter than him and probably about his size, but shorter. So he's little.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The security person? I don't know how he did it.
Both of our security guys couldn't even sleep in the bunk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tour life.
Tour life.
Yep, good times.
Tour life. But I was fortunate enough to meet a few of the people and they seemed very nice. Titus and
I think I seen a picture with you and In Vogue, didn't I?
Yep. And it started out with me just standing there talking to Cindy. Was that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the rest of them came over, and he's like, "Oh, take a picture with my mom." Well, I was just going to take a picture with her, and then the other two came over. Which one of them was from
Jamie Foxx show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was when Jamie Foxx worked for the Jingle Company. So I think that was like the last season of Jamie Foxx show. I used to always tell her, like, my favorite episode is the jingle off.
Oh, that the girl he used to sing with on the show?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I was like, when you all had the jingle off, that's my favorite episode. So the last day of tour, me and her had a jingle off.
So was she always in Vogue?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nope, she's the new one. The other two have been.
She took the girl, and then who left Dawn?
One of them
not
passed
sure.
away. If
Oh.
I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. Yep, so I got to meet some people. And then the young man, TLC's DJ, who's more than
Dubs.
just TLC's DJ.
Dubs, like, and he put me on the game. Like, yo, you got to get with an agent. You got to get with. I'm gonna introduce you to this person, that person. You know your Live Nation people. I'm gonna introduce you to the Live Nation people. This and that, like, cause he was coming. He's a DJ for TLC, but if you watch TLC perform, he does a lot of dancing up there. Because his choreography is crazy. He did a lot of choreography for Renaissance with Beyonce. So he's like, he was rehearsing with Beyonce for 3 months, came to come on the road with us for 40 days. Then I think he went back to Renaissance with Beyonce. So he be out there getting it.
But you look at and they're so like down to earth, like, you know, and I look at, you know, even some of our locals, they think, you know, their nose is up there and it's like, but you haven't even made it. Like,
Yeah, no, some of these people, they're working.
Must be tough to have a family and be in that field.
Like,
have a
like
strong
T-Boz,
one.
bring everybody with you. Bring your son with you to yell at us every day.
but he got his mother to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So yeah, well, thank you for coming and sharing your story with us. And so now we're waiting for DJ Franchise to make his move to whatever he's gonna move to.
He should be on satellite.
For real.
I used to think it was regular radio, but I think he's more
Nah.
satellite.
Yeah, so we're hoping before 2023 ends that something comes through for him, because their mother is tired of working a regular job, and one of them got to take care of me a little bit,
Just a little bit.
just a little bit, just a little
You
bit.
know how to carry turntables?
No, I had 2 broken wrists, so I don't know how
That's
long I
facts.
can carry. And
I don't know. I'm kind of strong, man.
But anyway, so is there anything you would like to add, or you know, any?
just if anybody wants to get into it, just learn different things in your field. Because I could sometimes me and Jamaica got a feeling as road manager. Sometimes we got like just learn different things in the field, you know. And yeah, we got more stuff to come. Shout out Sean. Shout out Phil Robinson. A lot of my work ethic wouldn't have been like this if it wasn't for me seeing Phil do what he did. So that's it. Shout out Franchise.
Uncle.
Franchise everybody. My mother, my father,
Yep. Well,
and Mama Kingston. Shout out Mama Kingston.
Mama Kingston, who says she looks like his son. He looks like her son. But anyway, well, thank you so much for taking the time. And I know you'll be leaving in a couple of days. So safe travels this weekend. Got anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Corey?
Nah, just be safe out there and enjoy yourself.
I will.
And Rhode Island's proud of you, son. We're proud of
Absolutely.
you. We are proud of you. And you'll be surprised. Like, you go places and you don't realize, like, you know, people have come up to me like, oh, I see what your son's doing. And I'm like, really? Like, yeah, I'm happy
People
for him.
don't even know, go out their way to write messages and stuff like that, and not asking for nothing. You know, just
Yeah.
you know, I see what you're doing. Congratulations. You know, that goes a long way. In
Yeah.
every city I went to, if I knew somebody, even if I ain't seen you in 10 years, I told you, come on out to the show. People
He
out
did.
there.
Made sure he had tickets waiting for you at will call. And if you were lucky enough, you might have got a backstage pass. But, yeah. But what?
Moving people down. If you was sitting all the way up where you can barely see the stage, if you look like you was having a good time, I was coming to give you some free tickets, even if I didn't know you. Introduce myself and give you some free tickets, put you in the first 5 rows, enjoy your night.
That's what's up.
Yep. And that's key. I think people sometimes they don't realize that, you know, they may think that they made it, so then they kind of lose the humbleness.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes a long, that goes a long way. That gesture right there, just from, you know, I'm
Every
just
single
somebody's
night.
DJ, and
single
here
night I
I
did it.
am gonna, you know, be nice to someone I don't even know. I'm just gonna move them down. You know, that people are only used to that happening. Like if a radio station is doing a concert, and they'll be like, "Oh, let's send somebody up into the lawn seats, and who do we have that we can move down to the Dunkin' Donut seats?" And you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So for you, who's just a DJ, for Sean Kingston to do that, where probably, I don't know if anybody else on the tour was doing that, but, you know, and I witnessed him because I was, you know, had the opportunity to go to a couple of shows. So I witnessed him doing that and just being nice to people. And that goes a long way. So I wish you much more success. And, you know, my wish is the same for both of my children. I don't put one above the other. Because, you know, I was there from the beginning. So I want to see both of them succeed. So franchise is next. The next time I'll be interviewing both of them.
Franchise on this radio all the time. He's doing his thing.
He's doing his thing.
He's
But
not
nah.
next. He was first.
Yeah, this is just, you know, this is, I call it the rehearsal room. This is the rehearsal room for what's to come. But anyway, so drop us your socials. We know, you know, once you get busy, you don't have time to look at everything. But
NYC HITZ on everything. Nice hits.
Mr. Corey,
COJ 208.
and I'm Ms. MS_Sherla on Insta, and my Facebook is Sherla White, and you can find us on YouTube at Let's Talk Church and Other Things, all episodes in full. You can find on YouTube. We ask you to please subscribe, like, comment, and if you would like to drop us a line, the email address is ltc.otpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, peace and blessings.